Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Loot Drop Podcast. Apologies for last week. We had some technical difficulties that caused us not to be able to upload. As always, we want to start by thanking out our patrons. Shout out to Dark Tower, our VIP, and Taylor, our two patrons right now. On our Patreon, you can get access to additional episodes, the After Dark episodes, and the ability to submit questions for us to answer here on the podcast. As always, though, this content is free, and we really appreciate you checking it out. I'm joined with Prezi J below me and Rathagen to my right. Uh, let's kick this off. Um,
I do have to be honest, Rathagen's to your actual left, but to the screen right. I just have to point that out.
no, on the recording, you papega. He's on my right, and you're below me.
I just thought I'd keep pointing things out to you.
I just wanted to take this moment to give a special shout out to Bill Gates and as some of you may have heard, first of all, last week my mic didn't work and then I blamed it on Bill Gates. And now Bill and Melinda Gates are getting a divorce, which is sad for any family. But as soon as they got a divorce, my mic started working again. So shout out to them, and also thoughts and prayers to Sunbro, who is a ward of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. I know he's very sad.
It's a true fact. Have you seen the memes though with Bill Gates on his computer and it says like looking for hot local singles, and then it's all these women with their microchips in their arms?
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
yeah, it's a quality meme. So as it is sad for any family. My computer and my stuttering on my mic is also working. So shout out to Melinda Gates finally getting rid of it. So
I just don't understand how that update got past any sort of testing. Like, to release an update that breaks core functionality, and it happens regularly. Like, it
I'm
literally
imagining
that's
they have a room of like 400 testers, and they're all sitting at their computers where they can see them, and they're like, "Okay, cool. Everyone, open Microsoft Paint. Okay, cool. That worked. Send it out. We're good. We're good. Like that looks like that'll be good, and we're gonna like blind it in the back. No one's gonna know it's gonna happen, and then we'll send out an update eventually to fix everything we messed up."
I mean,
yeah.
to be fair, when we're talking about Windows core developer made software, Microsoft Paint is at the top and then Minesweeper. I'm pretty sure those two things are the only native Windows software that anybody uses.
Microsoft
Um
Word, and they're like the one developer's like, "I'm a Microsoft Word," and the other ones are like, "We're on Google Docs." Like, I have no clue what you're trying to do. Chrome's working just fine.
uh,
But yes, we did have big technical difficulties last week, so sorry for our avid listeners that wanted to get a good episode. We decided that if it's not going to be up to our standards, we don't feel like it's probably good content to even push out
yeah.
for free.
It would not have been a good listening experience from what we captured. Also,
Yeah,
like, you only heard every third word from Prezi, so it would have been like trying to listen to an ad lib.
I mean, some people really would like that, but that's fine.
Um So, technical difficulties aside, this is a pretty big week in releases and video games. So Scavengers dropped like out of nowhere this last week. Apex is dropping their new season. Destiny 2 has been teasing some new stuff. So I want to take a moment and talk about Scavengers if that's all right with you guys. I've really been enjoying that game. Um, Wrath, have you at least seen like news or anything about that game?
I've seen nothing about that game except your clickbaity Twitch titles that say
Yeah,
join this stream for drops.
yes, I like those. Those are my favorites, and
They
that's
weren't
why
when
click
when I was using those. They weren't clickbait.
total clickbait, bro.
No, when I was using them, they weren't. When I the moment or the day that they made the game just free to play, I stopped using Twitch drops in my titles.
It's a fair point. It's a fair
But
point.
also,
I'll give you that.
a shit ton of people got their game drops from my stream, like
Now, to
people that
be
I've never
fair,
met.
I do have to say, initially, so the game's been out for release for a while. You could have seen it getting played kind of earlier stages of it. It has moved earlier this past week. It moved into a free drop, basically in Twitch streams. You watch 30 minutes, you register, verify your account. You got a code. I didn't get a code, and I stole it from somebody on Discord. And so it was a little buggy in that regard as well. Um, One thing I do have to say though, in this whole like them starting up their stuff, is we're sitting in a stream where we have 8 to 9 people that are all trying to play this, and they're all having troubles with different things. It's a beta version. It's what happens, and they were actively trying to fix things. Well, these guys kept going to Twitter and saying, "Where's the update? Where's the update? They should be giving us more information." And I was in their Discord just reading live updates from their team. Um, it was a little bit of a weird experience because these other 8 people are very big gamers, but they didn't think first thing we should do is go to their Discord and start to read some of those comments, which is exactly where some of those fixes were.
Well, and I think part of that is there's a pretty wide difference in how different developers will choose to update their communities. Some game developers will focus mainly on Reddit. Some will focus on Twitter. Some will focus on Discord, like Scavengers clearly has. I had a fair amount of luck with the Discord because I joined it. But like I even had issues like the last day I played. No, not the last day I played. Probably the second to last day I played that game. I had an issue where my game was just crashing on startup. Like I couldn't even open the game, right? And so I'm in the Discord and I'm like telling people like, hey, these are the issues I'm having. And granted, folks are trying to help me, but they're making recommendations that I'd already experienced. And so the issue I was experiencing was that Unreal Engine was crashing on startup anytime I opened the game. So I had to, and I own this game through Steam. I had to uninstall and reinstall the Epic Games launcher to get my game to be able to load the game that I own through Steam. So there I would say there's some optimization and some general bugginess that's still going to be abound, but it is an early access title. That's to be
And I do have to
expected.
say, straight out of the gate, for this game's purposes, for Wrath's purposes of understanding the game a little bit more too, it is a. Somebody put it this way, and I really appreciate this. Actually, it is a PvEVP game, and so you're in a battle royale mode. You're against computer-based engine players of different levels, all revolving around basically these capture points that are all based off of computer-generated locations, and they come with their own strength of enemies. And then as you're doing that, you have somewhere around 20 teams playing 3 people each on each team. And there's your PvP mode. The interesting part about this game is how it ends. And the end of every single rounds can go somewhere between, I think one of our shortest ones, maybe 24 minutes is
The
roughly around there.
each game is exactly 25
Oh,
minutes
it's 25. Okay.
from start to
Um,
stop. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a ship that lands the last 5 minutes of it, and your whole goal is for your team to get on that ship to walk away with some points, or at least one member of your team to get on that ship.
It's
Uh,
it's more important in that game to be on that ship than it is to be in first place. Like
yeah,
for the purposes of character progression and actively being able to go in and do anything because the when you extract you get salvage, you break down salvage for materials, and then you use those materials to advance your character, to get better weapons, to unlock your new abilities, to unlock new consumables and throwables. Like to unlock anything in that game, you need that base component from salvage to be able to move forward. So it's more important to survive and get on the ship than it is to get in first place. Although the game does reward you for placing higher up in that rank.
sure. And this is something that also Wrath can chime in a little bit on. So this game is really, it's a very typical battle royale game where your enemies are these. There's not a whole lot of backstory to the game, and so for that reason, they're like zombie-ish kind of weird looking creatures that you're shooting. And my question is, I don't know, like, so you take for instance, like GTFO. The
Mhm.
game itself is based off of these, they're mutants or something like that, correct, Wrath?
Yeah, the game doesn't really have a real deep lore. That's part of the allure to it, but I would describe it as like Last of Us brand zombies.
Sure. But my thing is, I wonder if game developers are more in the eye of putting in like a zombie or something that's been tampered with or things like that, rather than like a general another looking character like yourself as a as like almost like a muted, you're not shooting another actual human being kind of thing, you're shooting like a computer itself. And so it just was weird to me that we show up in this game, there's absolutely no backstory, which is perfectly fine. um and there could be later on down the road. Basically, you're trying to escape this area that's really cold, and there's a constant storm coming in that's just freezing you. And in that vein, there's also these zombies around everywhere,
Well,
and so it just
the
seems a little
announcer
weird.
says that you're on Earth.
Yeah, and it
So
does, and
as far as I understand it, so it's maybe it's like some sort of like nuclear winter event, and these are like mutated. You know what? We have no idea. We have no
yeah,
idea. Everything's snowy. Everything. It's a frozen wasteland. So it is
yeah.
weird. It's going to be interesting to see when they open the game, if they release more story, or if maybe like GTFO, it is what it is. Like you're there and you're doing the thing.
And I will say to anybody listening to this right now that is interested at all playing this game, Summer's put a lot of hours into it. Is like level 30, 31 right now. I'm level like 20 right now. You do unlock some pretty cool guns later on. It does take a little bit of time to grind up to those. So if you're that grinding player, you like to sit in on your base level and move your way up, you're going to really like this game. And it is free to play right now, no drop system. You can just go to Steam and pick it up in its beta version.
It is worth noting, before we move on to the next topic,
Yeah,
if you do choose to play right now, just note that it is an early access,
oh,
um,
yeah.
and they are going to be wiping game states. So don't put more into this game right now than you're willing to just have gone. Um, and that's one of the reasons I've been playing some other games since then, because I'm approaching like 60 hours, and at some point, the developers have already openly acknowledged they will be wiping progress. And from what I've seen so far, I'm at tier 3 research. There's 5 tiers of research in total. To hit tier 5 research, you're going to be talking 80 to 100 hours into that game,
Yeah.
I think.
No, I fully agree. Just knowing how long it's taken to kind of do stuff. Raph, I know that you want to talk a little bit about GTFO. I saw you streaming a little bit earlier this week. An update has come out, I believe. But also, you have to inform me because I've only ever played this game once while Sumbro was completely upset about playing it. Which, if you haven't seen that, you need to subscribe to our Patreon, which will be it is only after dark episode about him going off about that reason. But when they do an update to GTFO, do they wipe everything?
Yeah, so they spend a lot of their development time basically they take and make environments and then they piece those environments together like Legos every season. So every season they'll make one or two new environments to add to their palette, so to speak. But then they will build, 10, 11, 12 levels out of those Lego pieces, so to speak. And they'll tweak the lighting and things like that, but the more you play that game, the more you'll start to recognize some of the rooms are the same, or maybe not entirely the same but pretty close to it with some minor adjustments. But they do take the time to make an entirely new put together set of maps every season with new objectives. Usually they tend to add a new enemy every single rundown. A lot of what they're doing so far is they're making variants of existing enemies. So I would like to see them get away from doing that. And they have, also done that again this rundown, added a variant of an existing enemy. I would like to see some new types of mobs that we haven't seen before, completely new without any of the same traits. But it's definitely been an interesting update, and they've upped the ante quite a bit. So, in a game that prides itself on being difficult, um, it's definitely that. Previously in that game, once you killed a mob, that mob was done. They have added, I don't know what they're called, but they basically look like these birthing sacks that hang from the ceiling. And when you leave the room any distance, or at least long enough distance to not be able to see the room, everything in that room repops. So if you got a room with like 40 mobs in it and you wipe all of them, easy clap, The next time you come in that room, you got 40 mobs in there.
Wow. I'm trying to think of
Can
there's
you
another
break?
game where they do
Can
the
you
sack
break those
thing.
birthing saps?
No, you can't
Yeah.
break them. And
Right.
you know, it's kind of, to me, it's kind of janky right now because it's like there should be some sort of process to that. You know, like you should see them coming out. You know, I mean, it's still an early access game, so maybe that's in the works. Right
Sure.
now, it's just kind of like they're not there, and then the next time you walk in the room, they're there. But what some players are doing is they are parking one of their team in that room to make sure that nothing respawns.
Like
And
if
then
they know they're gonna have to go back through there.
yeah, especially like a big room that has potential for lots of mobs to respawn. They'll park one player there and leave them there while the other three move on with the objective.
Cool. How often do they do updates?
Every 3 to 4 months, they'll release a new rundown.
3 to 4 months. So I assume it's their season time.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's it's interesting that a game developer is putting that much time into kind of remapping things. But as you're seeing, obviously, it's starting to pay off a little bit in the regards. One, you're interested to go play it again, so there's another hype and spike, and it's not just based off of um, cool new attachments or cool new skins or anything like that in a typical shooter. This is like cool. That one person could have reviewed it and said the new part, new update's garbage. You still don't know that because you haven't gone in and actually been a part of it yet.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about them is they're very similar to Dark Souls in the way that they pride themselves on providing a very difficult experience that just doesn't really apply to a casual gamer.
Yeah.
But you know, it's interesting. I know that I don't know anybody if anybody knows Psycho Ghost, but he's a streamer and a YouTuber that makes a lot of hunt content. He made some GTFO comment, and he went into the FAQ channel, the Ask the Devs channel, and the GTFO Discord, and asked if this was comparable to the difficulty of Dark Souls. And the lead guy over there at 10 Chambers that makes GTFO said this game will be a GTFO difficult game. So they're not even really happy with being in the same bucket as Dark Souls. It seems like they want to have their own little level of challenge.
I mean, I've heard Dark Souls for the common person. Seeing that Total Sunbros played some Dark Souls in the past,
A little.
And the fact that he didn't like GTFO because it's a little bit harder content. So
As bad as he does at every other game, I don't know how he beat Dark Souls.
uh, obviously somebody carried him, or it was an account recov, is what I'm assuming. How much is that account recov for you to be able to get your hours in?
Okay. So I have like close to across all the Dark Souls, probably close to 1,200 hours. So let's start there.
In
and
order to get
the
those
issue
hours,
the
100
issue
hours.
I had with GTFO was not that it was hard. The issue I had with GTFO was that for it's a very for a shooter it is very very slow, very very deliberate. Even in Dark Souls, if I want to play like a Yeet Lord, I can. And you can play like that in GTFO, but I've not gotten to a point with the mechanics in that game where I can do that yet.
See, I thought we were playing GTA, and that's what Raph got me. And so when we jumped in, I was like, "This is a really good service."
Hold on, the robberies in this look really weird.
Can I role play as one of these zombies? Like, I have no clue what's going on.
are we?
When do I get my
under
Lambo?
San Andreas, or
Are we under San Andreas? Is this the sewer system? It's a cool game. I'm definitely gonna get back into it. I loaded it up the other day because I wanted the update to fully go through. But yeah, and I'll drag Total I'm Old Bro back through it again.
He will.
To try to get him to do it. So, no, I think that's definitely cool and definitely interesting. Real quickly, before we move on to something that I definitely continue talking about, which are other topics, but something that I thought about and I had to look up to make sure I got his name right. Did you guys hear about, and I know that I'm going to say this, and other people listening, you could watch sports. Raph has an actual life, and Total Sunbro just plays Scavengers for 60 hours in 1 week. So, but in the realm of baseball, did you guys hear about Jesus? I think his last name's, I'm not going to pronounce this right. Luzardo. Have you guys heard about him at all? What he did this past week?
No.
So he plays for the A's. They lost 8-4 to Baltimore. It wasn't that crazy, but he's a pitcher. And he comes out afterwards, and they say that his thumb is broken. I believe it is. He broke a finger. And he reported the news in the media that he broke a finger. Then it comes out about a couple days later that he broke a finger playing video games the night before the game. And that followed a series of tweets. Twitter blew up on that side, questioning how you break a finger while playing video games. Of course, he says it's not by anger. And he said that it was because
That man was playing Mario Party.
No, he was actually playing MLB. Like is what he said. He came out a bunch of times. I assume his agent is selling him to, if he wants to continue making millions of dollars, he probably needs to say X, Y, and Z. So he said that he was immature and that it was a stupid mistake and other things like that. But it does show that he made the comment though. He's played video games his whole life. That's not going to change. And there's that, and he'll maintain to know where his hand is when he's playing video games from here on out. It was just interesting to know that in a typical setting, if this wasn't video games, it was something else that got him in trouble or hurt, he would say, "I'm never going to do that again because I make millions of dollars throwing a ball down a line to a catcher." That's what he does. He makes millions of dollars doing it. But because it's video games and there's a ridiculous amount of people playing video games now, he can't make that claim at all. And so he has to say that, like, hey,
I think it would
I'm
just
gonna
be
get this straight.
disingenuous, right? Like
That
it's
would be
whatever the fuck he did, like pardon. Whatever he did, I don't even know how you do that. Separate of
Oh,
raging and punching something.
I have no clue, and he can't explain it correctly to anybody. There's like 4 different things that he said. Once he said he hit his hand underneath the table. One time he said they hit his hand on the side of the table, getting excited about something. All the memes were the whole controller being thrown to the wall.
I want you to take your hands in front of you. I
Okay,
want you to
got my hands in front of me.
picture yourself being so hype. You're like, yeah. Now, imagine coming down with the force on a single finger to break it on the edge of a table.
If I could throw a ball at 100 miles an hour plus,
You know,
maybe I'd have the strength in my arm to literally crush a bone. I don't know.
maybe
Listen, I have my own perspective on this. Hey Zeus, if you happen to stumble upon this incredibly obscure podcast, if you need a fourth, you give me a call because I need to play with people that are willing to break their thumbs gaming so hard.
When he says a teammate's one shot, but
He
you better
means
be
it.
right behind him or he's gonna come punching through your wall like the Kool-Aid man. I mean, it's just I just had to point this out. I've been the whole MLB guy from the day one. I've been trying to keep up with some of it.
That's
The new game
hilarious.
sucks, but for that
Sunbur-
reason,
Sunbur's face is more red than his hair right now.
Oh my
which
god.
is hard to believe. I don't understand how he does anything in his life.
What do you
I
mean?
will trans.
What does that
how-
even mean?
What do you
Why
mean? You're
what?
always a mess. You're a hot mess.
I don't know if that's fair.
Somebody tune in between the hours of 6, 7, 8-ish to midnight every day, and you'll see a hot mess on Twitch. I can guarantee you that one.
That's fair.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Okay, so in other news, you guys were talking about this before we getting on. I made sure my system's updating. I'm not gonna be able to play today, but there's news in the Apex universe.
Yep. So Apex is dropping its new season 9, and as far as I know, they're not even they're calling it Apex Legends Legacy. They're not even calling it season 9. So with the new release, they're dropping a new character. You've got Valkyrie, and she's actually a character who has lore in the original Titanfall universe. So far as I can tell, she plays a lot like Overwatch's Pharah. So she has a jetpack, you know, like her wings. She flies up in the air and she can shoot rockets down on her enemies, a la like missile barrage. They added a compound bow weapon to the game, and then the largest thing of note with the update is they've added a new like play playlist in it, and it's called what is it called, Prezi? The article I'm reading actually doesn't have the
How am I
name of
supposed to
the
know what article
new.
you're reading? Wrath. Does that make any sense?
I didn't know if you just knew.
If anybody is viewing this or listening to this point, one, we have to apologize for total not prepared, bro. But on that end, it is going to be exciting. I don't know how well it's going to be received.
Arenas.
I've seen no hype about. Oh,
Arenas.
I could have told you that. Sorry, I um, I've not seen any hype about it. I'll be honest with you.
I have.
But the thing about Apex is it's on its own little island over here. You
That's
know,
true.
there's so many people that are still playing Warzone because that's really the latest battleground iteration. I almost wonder if it's too late for something like Arenas because it's really trying to take a slice of the CS:GO Valorant pie, but you know that
Well,
that's
See,
CS:GO and Valorant is that, and then
I think
Apex
it's
is the battle
I think
royale.
it's trying to step into Destiny 2's trials. Like that's really what I think it's trying to step into. Like the ability based combat with the weapons and 3v3. I really think it's trying to step in on trials and capture some of that.
okay, but my theory behind this is, we, did you guys play Fortnite back in the day? Like right when it was coming out? Like okay, so I
Yeah.
played Fortnite
Yes.
from season 1 to like I don't know season 5. I didn't play it until they played it until they reset and they went from seasons to bigger things. Um, the when Apex came out, it was seen as the adult version of Fortnite. And so for what that did was the person that I used to play with, him and I, we used to play Fortnite all the time. We used to do death runs all the time, hours and hours and hours spent into that game. When Apex came out, we started to play that because one, it was cooler to talk to your friends about. People were willing to jump on, and also the 12-year-olds were still in Fortnite. So you leave the 12-year-olds on that island of Fortnite. But right now, I was watching Tim the Tatman today with 43,000 people in his stream playing Warzone. Um, I can go right now and I'll do it just out of curiosity to know what's on the top of Twitch right now. And I don't know if Apex will even be top 10. So
Um,
It definitely just seems like the game that was forgotten because it came out with a bang. I don't, you remember when it released, it was basically totally surprised. No one even knew it existed. It just came out, and then tons of people started playing it. And then it was out for like 6, 7, 8 months, and then Warzone came out. Is that right?
yeah, it was about that. Probably less than a year. Yeah, and Warzone did take over. Warzone's done somewhat right on capturing that audience and giving them the battle royale version of a Flickr game, pretty much. Um, it's fast paced but not cartoony, and
mhm.
so that's really what came down to it. Now I will update you. I'm kind of wrong. Um, Apex is currently sitting at Apex is currently sitting at 9 in the directory. But Fortnite, Valorant, League of Legends, Call of Duty, Minecraft, Just Chatting's up there always, and Grand Theft Auto 5 are all above it.
I have a question. Where is Overwatch on that list?
Um, I'll look for it as we keep going here.
Low.
Scroll really far down.
Oh, I
Maybe
found it.
top
It wasn't that
25.
far. It wasn't that far.
Really?
Really?
Well, I mean, relatively. So there's 18, 16, 17, 8, 9, oh, whoops, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22.
I want to find these people that
32.
like Overwatch.
Oh,
Top
okay,
32.
yeah. So it's in the top 40, top 50.
Yeah, I mean, you got to take out. I would take out like ASMRs out of there, music's out of there, just chatting. Like if you just took games, they're probably top 30-ish. Um, yeah, Overwatch is good. I would hope that if you were playing that, you would be probably playing the new Apex mode today and seeing how that feels.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It'll be good. I think having more. You said it's 3v3 like their normal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
I think that
So
might
when
move.
you load into arenas, you have a buy phase, very similar to like CS:GO or Valorant at the beginning of the round. And so you have a certain amount of money starting out. You use that to buy weapons, attachments, this, that, and the other. And then you move into the round. You play a total of 10 rounds. Um, or you can ultimately, I guess, play a total of 10 rounds. I think it's the first 1 to 5 wins is what I think it is. But going through, you don't keep anything. So if you
Right, you have to
buy,
restart every single
yeah,
time.
so if you buy an R301 one round and you like that gun, you'll have to buy it again the next round, but you'll have more money, so you'll be able to buy more attachments for it. Um, and
Sure.
so the more attachments you buy, obviously the more you're spending. So there is that like resource management, give or take, between rounds. I haven't experienced it yet. I don't know what it personally feels like. I'll be able to update probably next week or the week after, whenever we talk about this next. Um, and then as well as your abilities. So you don't just earn your ultimate over time like you would normally playing the game. You actually purchase your ultimate. And so if there's a round like you're like I really need to clutch up this round, you can purchase your ultimate and it'll take a large amount of that currency. But then you get that for that round, if that
Mm.
makes sense.
No, it fully does. Um,
I
go ahead,
think
Ray.
one of the things that made Apex a little bit difficult for some people to play is they really did something different with their guns. When you think of, like Call of Duty, for example, if you get a gun unlocked in Call of Duty, that gun is pretty much viable right off the bat. You can get attachments for it. It's going to fine tune it. It's going to add some, quality of life changes, but it's not going to prevent you from killing somebody to not put attachments on that gun. Would we all agree with that?
Yeah.
Fully.
Apex kind of like if you pick up a gun, it's like the most nerfed version of that gun you could possibly find. And they make their attachments almost essential.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you've got shroud aim, you do not have enough bullets in your R301 to effectively kill somebody if you're missing any shots.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's what that might be part of the reason that Apex is kind of that forgotten game in terms of the BR, like we were talking about, just because the gunplay is so much different from other games.
Yeah, no, and I always complain about it, but it is a complaint of mine, which is the pickup mechanic in Apex is completely different than almost every other BR as well. It doesn't matter if I'm playing mouse and keyboard, controller on my Xbox, on my PC. I can't pick up anything as easy as I can pick up things in other games. I can run by a box in Call of Duty. Box opens immediately. I have to physically look at the box in Apex, you know, pat it a little bit, ask if it would like to be opened. Box may say no. I'd look at it again. Box may say, sure, why not? And at that moment, it freaking opens. But it takes me like a split second longer to open things or to pick up things in Apex. And you're right. I have to constantly be looking at the gun to make sure that this attachment is going to even line up with this gun. Like I'm dropping stuff all the time in Apex as I'm running through because I realize that I want to switch guns completely halfway through. It's a good mechanic. It's just different. I'm not down, dogging that at all. I think that's a fun, phenomenal way that they made their game. But it does make it completely different, which is maybe good for the scene. But they're currently 8. I'm interested to see how this continues throughout the day. We are on release day talking about it. So this is we're recording this May 5th. So Cinco de Mayo. So yeah,
Happy Cinco de Mayo, guys.
yeah. Happy Cinco de Mayo. I don't know how we celebrate Mexico's Independence Day pretty much. Like, I understand it's a good thing for them, but I don't understand why we celebrate it here. So, happy Cinco de Mayo, maybe?
So I was talking to somebody on the phone like a week ago, and I asked them what day Cinco de Mayo was on, and I meant like what weekday, like
Oh,
what calendar day.
mm.
And I won't give you anything to censor, but they were like, it's May 5th.
I would have definitely said some words that
Yeah,
would.
well, it was followed by some colorful descriptions of my intelligence.
Yeah, well, it happens. Um, so can we move on? And I've been it's because I've been itching to talk about it, and I know Rask's gonna hate us talking about it, but I really want to talk about the new season with Destiny.
Ooh.
Oh, Raph looks excited. I'm so happy. There's our thumbnail. I'm clipping it right now. So happy for that. For, so first off, can we talk about Guardian games and what is the dumpster fire of every class? So first off, Raph, as you know, we talked about a little bit ago. I'm just informing Raph as the uninformed audience member that we potentially have too. So
Yeah.
that's who you fill in as of right now. Um, Guardian games basically Destiny's Olympics. There's three different types of characters: a hunter, warlock, and titans. Titans are big and dumb and massive. Warlocks are floating wizards that can't do anything, and hunters reign supreme as the normal character.
I'm
And that's
sensing
kind of
a little bit of bias there, but we'll move on.
well, the
As
bias.
an uninformed Destiny 2 player, I totally agree with Prezi J's assumption of the classes.
I appreciate that. And also, if you were to go to the tower right now, I, I would have
Warlocks
several
are
M
winning today.
that would back it up. Okay, cool. One day, scoreboard. Look at the scoreboard. I think we have what 11 days right now.
Look, we're coming for you. We're coming for you. Okay, we sandbagged at the beginning to get some wins.
Okay, so basically, what happens in this Olympics is you turn in medals for achieving different things throughout the day when you're playing. Resets at 1 o'clock. It's every day at 1 o'clock. Your item, your class item will change colors. So mine's a cloak. Mine will change from bronze, silver, or gold. Typically, it's been gold the whole time. So I really haven't really got to see any other color. But if you lose a day or get second or third, if you get second or third place, you get a buff that will continue on with you. Is it a 10% buff? Correct?
Yes, it's 10% for, but that only applies to the team that comes in third place.
Oh, okay. So since Warlocks are doing
Yeah.
so horrible for the first couple days, they got these buffs, and now they should just be taking over every single game, but they're still not. So we'll see how this kind of pans out. I think did they do better with this version
100%.
of Olympics
100%.
this time?
Last year was all like by the end of Guardian Games last year, literally no one cared. And I mean it, to be fair, it's there now. Like I'm an avid Destiny 2 player and I don't care.
Yeah, I
It's
wish they
too
almost
the
did this
event
in the
is
middle
too
of the season.
long.
No, I wish
It's
they did this in the middle of a season and they incorporated it with seasonal content because right now they put it at the end to force people to continue playing the game during its lull to get up to the next season, and they're just
which
using it
is
as a filler.
it's
They're not
incredibly
using
fair.
it for
Yeah.
good content moving forward. So I'd rather it be, if you finish this story mission, you've got a platinum, gold medal, whatever, to go into the hopper.
So, moving into this new season, Guardian Games is what it is. I think they did a lot better this year than they did last year. 100. That's unquestionable. They definitely did. Last year was awful.
Yeah,
Like
no, I
awful.
agree.
Like if like I got frustrated last year because playing as a warlock, my two friends that I mainly played with, are Australian friends, DJ and Ninja. They both play hunters, and so they are getting all of this synergy off of each other because they're both hunters, and I'm out there just not getting any progress because I'm the odd man out on our team. Whereas this year, basically, you could pick up the laurels that any class created and then use those laurels to buy the medals that you put in. And so it really didn't matter what class you played, just what you pledged to. Um, Moving past that, though, this new season kicks off on May 11th. Destiny 2's Season of the Splicer. So they're bringing back the first raid ever in Destiny history, the Vault of Glass. Also, Prezi, in the game trailer that they released, the intro to Vault of Glass is exactly the same. I don't think they've changed that much.
Well, okay,
The
so
the intro, the like
I
getting into the vault is
I
identical.
want I want you to understand something.
Go
What
ahead.
I said are words, and the words need to be listened to. So when I said they changed it from being a public opening,
Yeah,
and they made it a private opening,
yeah,
did that make sense?
yeah. It's just gonna be the
Okay.
6 people, two on each plate. Yeah.
Then what did you have problems with what I had to say? I said they
You were
changed
making
that
you.
because before you used to be able to just roll up on the vault of glass and people
Yeah.
could be opening it and you could see it.
Honestly, that was fun. That was super fun when you just have like some blueberry roll up on your team and be like, "I'm gonna help out."
Yeah. And
Moving past that,
Disney
I don't
agreed
think
with
they're
it.
changing that much. I don't think
Oh,
they're
they can't.
changing that much in the raid. So this new season, it's Vex themed, and basically the Vex are being Vexy, and they plunge the city into
Yeah.
darkness, and we need to fix it. There's a new 6-player match made, override activities where we'll hack into the Vex network. And that's going to play into the Vault of Glass raid as well, I believe. And then we're also going to see more of Mithrax, the Fallen that wants to join with humanity and the Guardians. And that's a pretty big deal lore wise because he's like of like the enemy an enemy race. But you know, like we have teamed up with him in the past. Um, bu- 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 and then looking at the roadmap, they have quite a bit posted up in the roadmap. And so on May 11th, we're going to get the Override on Europa, new aspect quests, and Armor Synthesis, which that's Transmog in Destiny 2, and there's a little bit of drama around that. Bungie may have misstepped on that like a little bit, and by misstepped I mean they fully face planted. They couldn't have messed that up any worse than they did.
Sure. Yeah, but the reality is, Simbra's talking a lot about things that are coming out. I could care less about any of those really. Transmog's coming out. Be interested to see. If you care about lore, then you care about what Simbra just said. If you click B through literally every cutscene because you could care less, um, that'd be me right here. Yeah, I just care. There's a new stasis gun.
Oh, the
And
sidearm.
favorite
You're
comment.
awful. You're
My
awful.
my favorite comment that I heard was stasis sidearm go burr because it freezes you, and that is absolutely hilarious. So aside from that, I mean that's the only thing people really should care about is that it's going to be a new meta in the game, hopefully, that freezes you on impact and PvP. They'll have to tune it down, and I can't wait. I absolutely cannot wait.
As so,
Also,
I used to
I'm
be a PVE main. I'm definitely a PvP main in Destiny 2 now.
is that okay? So
I'm definitely a
you
PvP main player.
to you does like I main this mean that this is what I mainly play, or
Yeah.
like this
So
is
like
what I main?
when I load up Destiny 2, that's going to be the primary activity that I move into. Um now I play PvE, you know, I do the raids and I do that stuff, but primarily I would call myself a PvP player at this
Oh, I
point.
would too, because I'm not excited about running this new raid with you.
Um but I'm really disappointed in the
Wait, why?
roadmap as a PvP player. Like as a PvE player, it's an amazing roadmap. They've got lots of content, but as a PvP player, this is more of the same crap. And they're
But if you're upset about it now after 7 years, where have you been for the last 7 years? When the game came out, you shouldn't have bought it if you're a PvP player. The game literally built off
I wasn't a
Destiny
PvP
1
player when it
material.
first came out.
It literally is built off Destiny 1 material, just recycled back into this. And
No.
so it that's true. Look at the maps. If they would come out with good maps, and this is where you got upset this past week with Trials. Trials map was horrible. That map's horrible normally,
So bad.
and with the
Yeah,
meta
that
right
map's
now,
to be
which
fair,
is
regardless of what
120,
game mode you're playing, that map's awful.
correct. With meta right now of 120s, which I'm okay with games metas, and that it brings into a better conversation that potentially Wrath could actually have a point in here because he knows what I'm talking about. But metas in games are good things, um, and I like the way Destiny's doing it by doing a full sweep of completely buffing it or completely nerfing it, instead of doing incremental buffs and nerfs because you don't necessarily feel those. And I really like when a game does something drastically so that you know that's happened. Um, I, I think that's a better move. But you're telling me the new PvP like mode is not exciting?
I'm gonna
I mean, if you're not excited by that, like,
Prezi.
yeah,
I have been to the Helm. I haven't been to the Helm in 2 months.
okay. But
Battlegrounds. I still haven't
you
unlocked all the
also didn't
upgrades.
do any of those things. You didn't
Exactly.
do
I
anything for
don't
those.
care.
You didn't do any.
I'm gonna play this 6-man matchmade activity twice, and then I'm gonna bugger off from it because I don't care.
So then, what you're saying right
I'm
now,
gonna load in
if
for
I
the
was a
weekends to try to
developer
play
and Bungie,
trials, get
what you're
rolled.
saying is that no matter what I were to put into that game, you would not care.
Maybe they wow me.
But you don't play any of the other side games though, like every other Destiny player. You don't play Mayhem. You don't play all the
Mayhem
rotating
is just a bunch of apes pooping on each
See?
other.
Exactly. But if every single toxic Destiny player has the same exact point of view that you do, they literally are
I'm a
going
toxic Destiny player. Pardon?
at the moment, yes.
No, it's
Very much
just with this season, I have the Vogue raid, which I am really excited for. I'm genuinely excited for the new raid. Okay, I have
And
the new raid.
I don't
Iron
call it
Banner's going to come out like twice, maybe 3 times, and then we
I
have
hate
trials every weekend. Okay, but separate
yeah.
from that, we have comp and we have quick play. All of the playlists, in it. Okay, we have comp and quick play. One thing that's cool is that some of the character classes are actually starting to get exotics that counter stasis. So there's a new pair of hunter or I'm sorry, Titan leggings that
Yep.
basically if you're using a solar weapon and you get solar kills, it's harder to freeze you. And that's good balance, okay? And so I need to see what this season looks like, what the new exotics look like before I condemn it or before I praise it. But looking at the roadmap, I don't see enough content as a PvP main player that I am like I'm gonna play the game every week.
Sure.
I'm gonna play trials. I'm gonna play the content, right? And I'm gonna get the new weapons.
Correct.
But there are some seasons like Season of the Dawn, I no lifed Destiny 2. Just loaded in every day, right? Like
Yeah, you're talking about how long ago was Season of the Dawn?
that was the last really good season.
How long ago was that?
That's like over 2 years ago.
Okay, so then why are you still playing the game?
Because I love the game.
Okay,
I love the game.
I'm sorry. As a toxic Destiny player as yourself, I just have to mention that no matter what they were going to do was going to make you upset.
That's not true.
It's 100% true. Like if I were to ask you also mid-season, you're a very typical Destiny player. If I ask you mid-season, do you like the game? You say, "Oh yes, I love the game. The content's been pretty great. I've been kind of moving and grooving through it." And if I ask you the last 3 weeks of the game because you've been burnt out from it so much, you'll be like, "Oh yeah, that game's gotten a lot worse, and this meta, and these people are out here sweating." And it's the normal Destiny talk from a toxic Destiny player. So total toxic Destiny player, bro.
I'm
Very
so
glad to
upset
have.
right now. I'm so upset right now.
I'd just like to chime in and say that this is the first and last time that I will ever talk about Destiny 2 with you guys.
I mean, it's probably fair.
That's fair.
That's a joke. That's a joke.
Yeah, well, no, I know it's a joke, but the reality is too I I've recognized also even just playing. So I've switched, and Raph knows this probably too. I switched from playing on console, moving to PC, and the game got better for me. It almost gave like new life to the game itself. It looked better, it ran better, and it just felt better as a normal game. And I think a lot of games are doing that as well. This game is going to see, I think, a very hard death. It's on its 7th year. They expect that there'll be several more seasons coming out. There's still
Several
a very
seasons.
big core fan base.
Bro, they have content planned to like 2026 just for Destiny 2.
And I'm telling you right now, this is going to be the saddest, slowest death of a game.
The people that are designing the content have content planned to 2026.
Yes.
I guarantee you, these shareholders and the people with the money have their own plan.
There are no
that might
shareholders.
just slice right
You
through
tell me
that.
no one pays for this other than you yourself?
No, what I mean
Is
is
Bungie a
Bungie,
privately owned company?
yes,
Okay.
Bungie's 100% private. I mean,
Wow.
they fund themselves off of sales and microtransactions in the game.
Correct. When you toxic Destiny players start getting fed up with it and quit paying for the game because you're saying that the roadmaps look horrible, even though they've got all this great.
It doesn't. No. No. I don't want to get it twisted. I did not say the roadmap looks terrible. I said as a PvP main, there is not enough in the roadmap for me. With that being said, it's a really good roadmap. Like for PvE, this is an amazing season for PvE. There's so much.
Okay. So much as in like a normal Destiny player though. you get in. What I think that's going to really hurt Destiny right now is bringing back to what they used to do before, which is only going to, I think, the power, even the power caps at like what, 310, 320, 330 or something like that now.
It's currently at 1310. It's only going to be moving up to 1320.
Right, and I think that's going to really hurt Destiny. They're moving back to
Well,
something they did before.
they'll do what they did before, and they'll give it a couple seasons where they only increase it by 10. And then me and every other toxic Destiny streamer will say, "Hey, we need we need more grind. You know, there needs to be. I need to be able to do more. I need to be able to get stronger. You know, I need to get that arbitrary number a little higher for no reason." And then they'll go, "Okay, well, we're gonna raise something." I mean, they've gone back and forth on that, even just in Destiny 2's life cycle a couple times. So that
Right,
will
yeah.
happen again,
They're
inevitably.
trying to adjust to new light players, which is good for them. They know the numbers, like you've said several times. They know what's going on in the background. They're missing their mark on a couple things right now. I do have to say that like I said earlier, I do appreciate weapons being tuned the way they are being tuned. Um, I I hate the aim assist. Well, I shouldn't say aim assist. I hate the magnetism on PC. Um, I got in this argument with somebody the other day when they said, "Oh, PC doesn't have any aim assist," and technically that word doesn't exist, I guess, but magnetism does, and has a higher magnetism.
Bullet magnetism is aim assist, just to cover
I
that. But on mouse
correct.
and keyboard, there is less. It's not zero. There's less. There's some. Intrinsically on every weapon, there's some.
Correct. Yes, and on some there are more right now, and so for that reason they're trying to do tuning, and I appreciate them just buffing or nerfing things into the ground. So
One of my favorite things about Bungie is how communicative they are. And like as a Destiny 2 player, like it's actually spoiled me a little bit. With like when there's issues in Destiny 2, you know, if something's broken, you can go to Bungie's Twitter and they'll say like, "Hey," or like Bungie help or something like that, but they'll say like, "Hey, this is borked. Okay? This is what we're doing. We're working on it, right?" Bungie is very very communicative as a developer to its player base. But like the other day with Scavengers, like we were having issues with Scavengers, and we're checking Twitter, you know, we're checking the Discord, and I ended up getting an answer when I actually tagged like a moderator in the Scavengers Discord, like, "Hey, is the team aware of this? You know, what are they doing? Like the servers are down
yeah,
or
I mean,
something."
also a small developer, but I mean,
Yeah,
fully rightfully so. They were very communicative. I don't. My thing is though, Destiny. You can sit there and say they're an indie developer by all definitions,
they're
sure,
not. No, Bungie's a AAA developer. They're
but
just
they're
independent.
massive developer. My issue with them full heartedly is, let's say that there's a bug with their game at that moment, they will work on that. They will very much say what's going on. This past weekend trials was a example of that. They completely disabled something because it was breaking the game, and they let people continue playing. The issue with that game and other games like it is it takes them 4 to 6 months to change a meta because it has to come out with a new season. They will not be changing metas like that on a bi-weekly basis.
That's not entirely fair. So they've with the they upgraded on the back end here within I would say within the last year. And they've gotten to a point where they are able to make adjustments
But are they
mid
doing it?
season. Yes. Yeah. They've done it several times now. Where something will be way over the top tuned and they will
Correct.
individually tune something mid
But
season.
you're still talking months and months. Like there's months going by of people playing with these metas, and they're not adapting those to continue
Let
to like
me
change.
give me you guys can keep talking for a moment. Give me a minute. So there was something
We talked about
that
something.
came out at the beginning of this season. I forget off the top of my head what exactly it was, but something came out and it was broken. Um oh, no. Okay, Warlock Stasis. Beginning of this season. It made it literally a week. Literally 1 week, and they individually tuned Warlocks down. And then they gave it 2 months, and then they went ahead and they nerfed Hunters and Titans a little bit. Um, and then they went back in, and then they actually buffed Warlocks back up a little bit, and they tuned Hunters and Titans down again. So they are doing
You're
mid
hitting a
season
sore
tuning.
subject. Cool. I'm glad they're just tuning to please the masses at the moment. That's what they're doing. They're not tuning for meta.
Pleasing the masses
They're
would be buffing
tuning.
hunters. They're trying to balance the game.
I would love to do a Twitter poll and just says who complains more and just see the warlocks
Hunters.
take over by a massive amount. See, this is where the toxic Destiny streamers come out. Wrath, I do not want to ignore you this whole time. Do you have anything else you'd like to talk
Well,
about?
I want to talk about metas, right? So why are metas even a thing? Like, they've got their spreadsheets, they've got their code. Like, they don't know this gun is playing for 3 months about it before they nerf it. We talked a couple podcasts ago about Warzone and how they use that to their financial benefit by and then intentionally releasing skins following that to get people to buy all those skins. They
Right.
let that meta sit there for 2 or 3 months and then they nerf for the gun. But I feel like I just feel like it's bad game design, and it's almost something that happens by nerf these metas when they launch new guns.
So I've been thinking about this a lot, and I don't know if I'm a game developer stagnant, and in that. So my mind went back to like old first person shooters, and it went to cool. I Y and Z gun in that same exact class, and it would do relatively the same thing. They all had their own tiny differences, but they were all pretty stagnant and pretty the same. And then as games started to develop, developers started to mess with cones and spread and literally every last little thing to deal with guns. I mean, the math that goes behind even
So
developing a
much.
gun to
So
shoot
much.
is absolutely insane. So I did put a lot of thought into this actually earlier this week in thinking, do I want a game though that is stagnant? Or would I rather a game that creates a meta and changes from every 4 weeks or every 2 months? I don't know that answer, but I would think that you're right in the factor that when they start to nerf something, that does open up a space where something else will be buffed, and so that'll become that meta.
So
I
you're always gonna have some absolute gamer figuring out what's optimal. Okay. Um, Bungie specifically, they intentionally tune their meta so that they have certain things. A couple seasons ago, it was auto rifles, like 600 round a minute auto rifles. That's right when you first when you first got into the game, Prezi. 600 round PM auto rifles, amazing. Rounds per minute auto rifles, amazing, right? And so Bungie regularly will buff up something, maybe nerf some things, bring them back in a little bit, just to keep the game fresh for long term players. And I think that's ultimately what it is for it's for the sake of longevity, so that you're not playing with that same SMG that you were using 2 years ago.
Well, and I think the reality is too, games are not lasting as long as what they used to. Prior games expected a 1 to 2 year time span where another game would hopefully come out. And I mean, in Bungie's case, which I think is not I'm a very advocate of the fact that I think there's too much in Bungie right now, or sorry, in Destiny 2. I think there's just too much of the game. There's guns you'll never touch or ever play with. I'm ready for D3 and for them to scrap everything and wipe everything behind it. And so I know, and I understand toxic Destiny streamers up there would not be happy with that comment. But in reality, I mean, literally next season they're coming out with 2 more blue guns. Can somebody explain to me why?
New light players.
No, who plays with blue guns? No
A
one.
new light player.
For a
I'm saying
total
I'm
of
saying
what? Literally maybe an hour, because we took Wrath through the intro mission. He's already got legendary weapons on him. So it's insane that they're doing that. They're just adding more to a pool of stuff. But because games are lasting longer, they have to continue to make them fun or make them different to entice that player to come back. Because if I'm playing with auto rifles and you're a sniper main and they start to buff auto rifles, I'm gonna want to play more.
Mhm.
And so it is definitely interesting, and every game has a meta
with
typically at
with
place
with
or
that being said, with Wrath, how Wrath already has some legendaries, Wrath will also throw away those legendary. Well, if they're god rolls, he'll keep them, but he'll have to ultimately replace those while he's leveling up. He hasn't leveled up nearly enough that he's at a point where he can keep those just indefinitely.
It's true, but it still doesn't matter. Like, you know what I mean? Like, them creating new blues really doesn't, like, it's a waste of resources at that point in my mind. Like, there's enough out there in the farming area of a new light player for Destiny 2. I will say that does bring up a good topic, and I will when we may break here in a couple minutes or so and go to our After Dark segment. We're gonna bring up something that we talked about in our podcast that never came out, which is Twitch's meta. I do want to bring that up, and I thought about this. I'm looking at this directory; it's still up from when I pulled it up. The top, you know, 5 games are been the top 5 games every single month, pretty much for the last year. Because any of the games that had their shining glory moments over the past year have now dipped back down. So you still have Grand Theft Auto, Minecraft, Call of Duty, War, you have Warzone, and you have League of Legends just kind of sitting up there at the top. And for that reason, I think that Twitch got time for their meta to hit because there's not a whole lot of hype for one individual game right now.
What's
Um,
that meta, Prezi?
We're gonna be talking about hot tub streamers in the After Dark situation. Also, I want to talk about Star Wars and how horrible the movies are. There'll be a lot of hot takes in the After Dark situation.
So we're winding down. This is the 4th/3rd episode of Loot Drop Podcast.
I like 3.5.
3.5. This is Loot Drop 3.5. Thank you guys so much for listening. Tune in next week. We're going to be talking about our favorite games on every single console generation. It's going to be a really, really good discussion topic. There's going to be a lot of hot takes. Just kidding. I have no idea. We haven't talked about it yet. But it's going to be a really good episode, and you're definitely going to want to listen to it. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name's Total Sumbro.
I'm total absent, bro.
And I'm
AKA
total.
Rathagen.
I'm total. Please subscribe. Go to Spotify. Give us a follow there. Don't forget that we have a Patreon link below. We do have some good things there, and honestly, the After Darks are where you get to see our true colors and get to see a little bit more of ourselves. But then also, don't forget to shoot. I just forgot what I was about to say. But don't forget to do those things. Oh, and don't forget our Discord. Our Discord's active, so please go and join our Discord.
Take care, guys.